Welcome to Prime Space, Advanced Conversations in Coaching, with your host, Elias Scultori. Hello, coaches. One of these episodes of Prime Space that I have the joy of having a guest, and today's guest is very special, Renata Lurch. Renata, how are you?
I'm good. So excited to be here today. Thank you
Yes,
so much for inviting me.
we're excited to have you, Renata. First of all, you can see that I'm making sure that I'm pronouncing her name with the Brazilian accent because Renata is Brazilian.
Hooray, yes.
We can do this in Portuguese, Renata. Maybe not. But the reason why I invited Renata here is first of all, Renata is an ACC coach, but Renata is also the Vice President of Marketing and Communications at the ICF. So she has a pretty good position there at the ICF, especially in marketing and communications. And since we are in this series of episodes about marketing and building a business, I asked Renata if she could come and give us some tips and some ideas here based on her experience as a marketer and also her experience working directly and internally with the ICF. Renata, welcome.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for inviting me and for having the opportunity to talk to your audience, which is also my audience. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just so that you all know a little bit more about Renata, a global marketing leader, coach, and lifelong student of human behavior. She is passionate about building brands that people trust and helping leaders unlock potential. Her experience spans leadership marketing roles across Fortune 500 companies, startups, and associations, with extensive experience at the intersection of marketing, leadership, and coaching. Renata believes that whether you're growing a business or leading a team, it all starts with understanding people. Oh, we love that, Renata. She currently serves as Vice President of Marketing and Communications at the ICF, as I said, and today she'll share her perspective on how coaching and marketing come together to create meaningful impact. So, Renata, very impressive resume here. I have a couple of questions for you. And of course, because you have this leading role at the ICF, I'm sure that our listeners have the same question for you. What's the ICF's role in promoting the coaching industry?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a great opportunity to explain, what we do at ICF and how we do it. So when I think about ICF's commitment to the coaching industry, I really think about like three things: protecting the quality of the profession, expanding the impact of coaching around the world, and helping shape what the future of coaching looks like. Everything we do fits like somewhere in those three areas. But to be a little bit more specific, let me go over in a little more detail each one of them. So, protecting and elevating the profession. We want to make sure that coaching is seen as credible, as trusted, and a high quality profession. So what it means is we setting standards, global standards for coaching, ethics, and competencies, establishing rigorous credential and coaching education standards, and evolve those standards, including areas like AI now that is a big topic, and DEIB, all these areas that are so important to create the standards. And the reason this matters is because when someone hires an ICF credential coach, they should know that they are working with someone who has met the highest standard in our profession. That's what makes you, Elias, so exceptional, right? When we look at all the coaches that are there in the world, is because the level of vetting, that you were, and the amount of hours and studies that you have to go through in order to get to the level that you are. Number two is really growing the reach and impact of coaching. So we don't only serve coaches, we are working to bring coaching to more people, right? To organizations, to communities around the world. So what it means is expanding access of coaching globally, invest in research for impact. We know that learning about the coaching impact, we as coaches, we really have the fulfilling experience of seeing that experience the impact that we have on people. But until you experience that, you just don't know, right? And building partnerships with organizations, businesses, governments, educational institutions help leaders understand how coaching can improve leadership, can improve culture, engagement, performance. We try to connect all the dots so that people understand that, well, leadership is great, but leadership and coaching, and then we connect the dots for people to understand, right? And then shaping the future of coaching is really a big part of what we do at ICF, especially as I mentioned, with things that are incredibly changing, like AI, like workforce transformation, new leadership expectations, constant disruption that we see everywhere in the world. I mean, some of you are members, some of you are not, but we have three strategic areas. One is a sustainable growth and impact, which is growing the profession responsibly while also demonstrating coaching's positive impact on society. The second strategic area is coaching excellence in value. So continue to raise the bar of credentials, of education, in the value of coaches. And number three is internal, is the excellence, so that we can build the systems, the technology, and the capabilities that allow ICF to continue, to have the infrastructure to support you as a coach. So if I had to summarize kind of in a sentence, I would say ICF's commitment is really to ensure that coaching is trusted, is accessible, is impactful, both for individuals and organizations, and also continue to shape the future of this profession.
Thank you for that summary and thank you for that explanation. As you were sharing that, I was reminded of a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that, Renata. There were a couple of articles that were written in the New York Times that did put coaching in a good light. And I remember emailing you and saying, Renata, do you know this is happening? What is the ICF going to do about this? And it was wonderful to hear from you that, yes, the ICF was aware of what was going on, and the ICF had a specific strategy on how to handle that with mindfulness and experience and understanding of how to deal with media and all of that. So I'm telling this story because oftentimes we as coaches, we are on this side over here, and we are struggling with our businesses, and we are trying to build our businesses, and we are like, what is the ICF doing that? Well, there is a lot going on behind the scenes that we are not aware. So I'm so happy that you are able to share these strategies. I'm very much connected with credentialing standards. So that aspect, at least for me, is very clear of the commitment that the ICF has around the quality of coaches and education as well. And there is even more. So thank you for sharing all of that behind the scenes for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, media requires a lot of strategy. And I know people get very anxious. Our community is very passionate, and people get very anxious when something shows up, something not so positive shows up in especially tier one media like New York Times but we need to be strategic so that when sometimes there is some negative media about coaches that are not credentialed, we don't want to mix that level of coaching to you that is a completely separate tier. So we need to be very strategic. So it's not for the amateur eyes, for just like the average reader of those publications. We don't want them to see it's all combined. You are at a different level, and we don't want to reply to something that is not referring to the ICF coaches, but instead to coaches that are not credentialed, not qualified, we have to be very careful. Yeah.
I so appreciate the thought process behind that. and the monitoring, the paying attention to what is happening in the world at large, and being strategic on how to address or not what is happening over there.
Absolutely.
But then we go into a second question that I have here, because we are talking, the first question is, what is the role of the ICF to promote coaching? But there is another side of this story here. What is the role of the individual coach in promoting the coaching industry at large? How do you see that?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I think it's actually one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves, because the future of coaching doesn't belong only to organizations like ICF. It belongs to every single coach. So every interaction that we have with a client either strengthens trust in coaching or weakens it, right? Because it's the actual experience. So when I think about our role as coaches, I think about many responsibilities, and I can list at least four. Like, we are ambassadors for the profession. So most people know coaching because they experienced it through a coach. That means every session is an opportunity to show what great coaching really looks like. And the quality of our work shapes the reputation of our entire profession and distinguishes you as an ICF coach and others that are not trained as you are. The level of learning and rigorous of your training it really puts you in a different tier. The second one, I would say that we have a responsibility to uphold the ethics, right? The ethics is just so important, and is one of the things that distinguishes ICF from many other organizations that can give you an overnight certificate. Trust is the foundation of coaching, and it doesn't really happen by accident. The ICF Code of Ethics isn't just something we read once, to earn a credential. It's a commitment that we make every day. And that leads me to the third one, which is the responsibility to practice the core competencies. The core competencies, as most of you know, they are not just simply techniques. They are the foundation of excellence in coaching. Clients may not know the language of competencies, but they absolutely feel the difference when a coach embodies them. That really you can look, you can tell that there is something behind it that is not just a simple technique. It comes from the soul, right? So the more consistently we practice them, I think the more credibility and value we create for the profession as a whole. Another one, I would say that we have a responsibility to keep learning and growing. Great coaches never stop developing. So the world is changing so quickly. So if we want coaching to remain relevant and impactful, we have to remain curious, humble, and committed to our own growth. So what does it mean, I think, for all of us? I think every coach is really a steward of the profession. So will you leave it the way you started, or would you elevate that, right? So that you deliver a more respected profession than when you found it. So I think all those things, the reputation of coaching, again, is not built just by ICF. It's built through every coaching conversation, one at a time.
Wow, Renata, I wish there was like a little video of this podcast and a video camera that would go inside my heart, because right now inside my heart, I'm giving like cartwheels because you spoke my language. I so appreciate about this. I say this to my students and mentees all the time. You can have the most amazing marketing strategy, But what is going to make your practices the moment that you are in front of your client? What is the service that you're delivering? What is the commitment that you have to skills? What is the commitment that you have to ethics? And that is going to be the value that you give to your client in that moment. And that's going to manifest over and over and over again. And that is the best, at least in my mind, the best way to promote what we do, by doing it well.
Doing it well, exactly.
You also have some little tips. You are a very experienced marketer. So what little practical points or tips would you like to give a coach as they are building their individual practices?
Yeah, I love this question because I think a lot of coaches believe they need to become marketers overnight, right? And they can't. It's hard. Boy, it's been 30 years for me. So
a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah. But you don't need to do everything. What you need to do is a few things consistently. What do I want people to think about when they hear my name? You don't need really to be famous for everything. We need to be memorable. So the more you create content and you be clear on what you can deliver to that specific audience, you become memorable. Then comes another one that is build trust before you ask for business. I would say this is probably my biggest marketing tip. People hire coaches they trust. And trust is built by consistently sharing insights, writing, speaking, participating in communities, give value, like, you're doing with podcasts, you talk to people, you offer mentorship, so people trust you before you actually sell to them, right? And this is really, really, the goal is to become the person people think of when they need that specific help. So that's what you're looking for. And then come others like, don't underestimate referrals. So ask for testimonials, ask for introductions, stay in touch with former clients. Just try to keep that connection there because referrals is a big thing in your career, isn't it?
100%.
And people come because there was trust. If there wasn't trust, people would not come or would not refer you, right? And then invest in our digital presence too. I mean, I do that all the time. If I need to know about someone, I don't go to LinkedIn anymore. I go to ChatGPT and say, tell me everything you know about Elias Escultori. So that will give me everything. And you will not know that I was stalking you on LinkedIn. So ask yourself, like, does my LinkedIn clearly explain who I help? Because those learning large language models, LLMs, they will go on LinkedIn, they will go on your website. So is your website easy to understand? Can people find examples of how you think and what you think in a specific narrative about that area that you are an expert on? Am I creating content that demonstrates my expertise? So your online presence really should answer one question immediately. Why should someone trust me with their growth? If it's not there, they're not going to find you. And I would say be consistent. I know I said that before, but one post will not change your business. One article will not change your business. One single speaking engagement will not do it. You have to be consistent and put on your calendar, ask GPT to help you with the content that you're going to post, but be consistent. And I would say a final thought that I hear a lot from coaches is like, I hate my self-promotion. I hate just promoting myself. But don't think of marketing as self-promotion. Think of it as a service. If you genuinely believe that your coaching can help people thrive, organizations thrive, then talking about your work isn't really bragging, it's helping the people who need to find you, right? So coaches who make the biggest impact are not often the loudest marketers that are like salesy. They are the ones that are consistently sharing their expertise, consistently building trust, and making it easy for the readers or for the audiences to understand their value.
Thank you for all of these ideas and tips here for us. I especially appreciate this idea of focus, clarity, consistency, this idea that I have a message. Renata, you also have a marketing lab that you offer to coaches free, I believe. So tell us a little bit about that.
That's true. Just like a session, completely free for coaches that are struggling, with, market and understanding the market themselves and understand this concept of marketing or those nuances that are so important of like how to create a message. I run that usually it's like a couple of hours, one day. The next one is September 14th from 11 to 1 Central Time, so noon to 2 Eastern Time. Very simple, very hands-on. But we do exercise. You leave there with your message and with some sort of a plan. It's not an ICF session. It's just me, Renata, offering my knowledge to this audience that I really like so much, which is coaches.
This is such a great opportunity, and thank you so much for being so generous with your time and sharing your experience. Listeners, what an opportunity here for you to work directly with Renata and benefit from all of her experience and all of her experience, not only in marketing, but in coaching, and the combination that we really need for free. So make sure that you connect with Renata and you register to the next session with her. All of the links will be in the description of this podcast. So make sure that you connect with her and you can ask her more questions about this. We don't have much time. September is right around the corner, so we need to act quickly. So Renata, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with us today.
Thank you. I'm really thrilled and look forward to hearing from your audience. I'd love to see them on September 14th. So yeah, come on in.
Thank you for listening. If this episode gave you something to think about, I'd love for you to follow the podcast and share it with another coach who would enjoy the conversation. Your comments and reviews also help more coaches discover Prime Space. Every follow, review, and like helps raise the level of conversation across our coaching profession. Prime Space is produced by Prime Coaching Academy, where these conversations continue through our ICF accredited coach training programs. Prime Coaching Academy, we go a step further. I'll see you next week.